You don't need to be ripped. You just need the right shirt. Epic Fits gives you a clean, confident silhouette, snug on the arms, soft on the skin, generous where it counts. And with deals like $15 per tee, they won't break the bank. Visit epicfits.com today. Epic Fits. T-shirts that get it.
KFI AM 640. You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly. On demand on the iHeartRadio app.
Hi, everybody. Tiffany Hobbs in for Mo Kelly tonight for the Later with Mo Kelly show. You might recognize my voice. I'm often on Wednesdays for the Viral Load, but I'm filling in tonight for Mo, who escaped to Italy without us. We have producer Matt in for Tawala. We have Robin in for Foosh. I'll give you a Foosh update in a moment. We have Mark in for Mark. Hi, Mark.
I feel like I've heard your voice before.
You know, you look familiar to me.
It's
like
the
cousin.
hair. It's the hair.
Like a cousin, a distant cousin.
Our hair is the same today.
Exactly. And then speaking of filling in, it feels like the weather from hell, the weather from Satan is filling in for what we consider to be normal temperatures in the summer in Southern California. But either way, we are all here. Quick Foosh update. He's listening. I spoke with him earlier. I've been speaking with him regularly. You've heard him here call in himself on the station. He's doing really well. He's had a series of surgeries, all of which have been extremely successful. They're putting him back together. And as all continues to go well, Foosh is that much closer to going home. So continue to send your good vibes. Continue to send your well wishes and your messages. I share them with them. Everyone on the station who talks to Foosh shares your messages with him. We miss him. We love you, Fooshy. Know you're listening. And you continue to get better. No YouTube tonight. Also, those of you who are used to turning into the live YouTube broadcast. But if you are wanting to say hi, I did upload a reel to Instagram. Those of you who are social media minded, and you can go on my Instagram at Tiff Hobbs on here. No spaces, at Tiff Hobbs on here, or you can look up Tiffany Hobbs. And on that reel there, which talks about me covering for Mo tonight, you can absolutely leave a message, say you're listening. You can make it your own chat like you do on the YouTube, and I'll try to check in as I can. Again, that's at Tiff Hobbs on here. We have a lot of show to get to, and it feels like very little time. We have local news. We have some major updates to some very big stories. We have fun stories, some interesting stories that I think you'll definitely give your attention to, including a segment that I'm trying out tonight. You know how people say food for thought? Well, we're going to go thoughts for food.
You're ordering us food? This is great.
It's like a regular Friday, kind of like how we wish there's food on a Friday and how there's not, and we have to wait for someone to order it. So, Mark, since you volunteered and I heard you do that.
I have important news to do. I can't be distracted.
Robin. You have to be Foosh and you have to get Panda Express or something. Paquito Mas.
You know, they don't pay us enough.
All right. It's okay. Downtrodden crew will be the hungry crew. But we're going to call this new segment that we're trying out Thoughts for Food. And I have some really interesting food-related stories and kind of off the beaten path stories that I'll share with you. That's at 7:30, including what major fast food franchise is slashing prices effective practically immediately. A car crashed into a restaurant while some influencers were filming a food critique. And did you know your friendships are dying? Not because of your personality, no. Because being a friend and having a friendship is just too expensive. And I'll tell you why and how that relates to food after 7:30. At 8:05, we're going to get into our deeper dive segment. Parents are apparently too busy to spend time with their toddlers, their young kids. So here comes AI, artificial intelligence, and toys. And the combination of both is being introduced as a replacement for parental contact. That's at 8:05. We'll talk about that. At 8:35, we'll do our Scammers Gonna Scam segment. We have two crazy stories there. And then in the last hour, again, we'll have a really full hour of interviews. We have two separate interviews where we're speaking to two officials, two leadership people in leadership from the mobile home parks in the Palisades, the Tahitian Terrace and the Palisades Bowl. And they're going to come on and talk to us about legislation they're pushing that will protect mobile park residents from displacement. It's called Senate Bill 749. And Grace Kono-Wells and John Brown of the Tahitian Terrace and Palisades Bowl, respectively, will be on to talk with us about that. When we come back, we're going to get into the top stories that we're watching and then some updates to really big local stories. Again, if you want to chat, you can hit my Instagram at Tiff Hobbs on here. Send me a message. Let me know you're listening. Tell Mark to buy food. Tell Robin to buy food. Whatever you need to do. Tell Mark not to make that face. You can't see it, but he's making a face right now.
It's on the host to come up with the food on Fridays. I don't know if Mo told you that.
Wow, look at the time.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Tiffany Hobbs here, filling in for Mo Kelly on the Later with Mo Kelly show. Off-air conversations happening, and if you were listening in the last segment, a lot of it was about who was going to buy pizza. Apparently, whoever fills in is in the hot seat, proverbially and literally, when it comes to paying for food. And Mark, what you don't know is that Robin on the boards there filling in for Fushi, and I decided that we would order pizza, of which I don't want any.
Wait, what? What?
And neither does Matt.
Well, then I'm confused.
I'm ordering it for you because
don't-
I'm a giver.
Don't do it just for me.
And for Robin. So two of you, because you shamed me into ordering pizza.
I had no idea the kind of power I've been wielding around here.
I'm like,
This is good. I like this.
You're underestimating your influence. So
Oh, yeah.
pizza,
So is there something I'm doing with my eyes or eyebrows or just like the vibe?
it's just the general smell.
Okay.
You know, just the smell is intoxicating, and I want some pizza to overcompensate for that.
Oh, I'm glad I showed up for work today now.
So make sure you tell Robin what kind you want because she's in charge of the toppings. I'm not having anything.
The big kind, Robin.
Yeah. He's like, max it out.
Yeah.
She's paying. So we're talking about some stories that we're watching. There are a lot of updates coming out of local stories. And one of them has to do with the Menendez brothers. It's the case that seemingly won't fade into oblivion. They're back. Netflix brought them back, put them on a platform, gave them another lifeline, and they are here possibly to stay for the foreseeable future. And what I mean is the Menendez brothers are currently up for parole about 36 years to the day, almost to the day of the day that they killed their parents, murdered their parents in cold blood. For whatever their provocation was, it resulted in murder. And they went in front of the California Parole Board, the younger brother, Eric, yesterday, and Lyle sometime today. It may be happening now, actually, but nothing has broken yet as far as the results of that panel. But yesterday, younger brother Eric Menendez was denied parole after a 10-hour hearing where he faced tough questions about his criminal past and the things that he's done in prison, including sharing shoes, taking shoes from a female visitor, something he wasn't supposed to do, and touching female visitors and other sorts of things that got him in trouble. So all of that combined resulted in Eric Menendez being denied parole for at least another 3 years. Older brother Lyle, his hearing is now. Yesterday, the news broke about Eric in the evening. I'm expecting the news to break about Lyle and whether or not he'll be granted parole. Probably not, given what's happened to Eric. Probably will break sometime this evening during the show. But they they're seeing what this case has, and it will go before Governor Gavin Newsom's desk in a process that can take months if older brother Lyle is granted parole. If parole is denied for this second brother here, just like what happened yesterday with Eric, there are still two paths to freedom. One path, clemency granted by the governor, and another path, a court petition that uses new evidence in the case. But like I said, we'll find out tonight, I'm pretty sure, about Lyle and whether or not he will be granted parole. Again, the story that seemingly will not go away. Another story that we're watching, former LAFD chief Kristen Crowley is out for blood. She is upset, and her targets are the entire city of Los Angeles and Mayor Bass. What's going on? Well, former LAFD chief Kristen Crowley on Wednesday filed a claim against the city and Mayor Bass for defamation, retaliation, and negligence, alleging that she herself was the victim of a pattern of, quote, dishonesty, scapegoating, and unlawful retaliation, all of which resulted in her firing after the fires in January. The claim goes on to say that Kristen Crowley's 25-year career as a public servant was destroyed not because of her duties or any derelict to her duties, but because she told the truth. And this claim is a possible forerunner to a lawsuit, which means that looking at lawsuits historically and what's waged against the city or these municipalities, settlements often occur. And what likely will happen is a settlement between Kristen Crowley and the Los Angeles city leadership, including Mayor Karen Bass. Finally, Alligator Alcatraz out there in Florida, that detention center, can no longer make new reservations. They can't take new inmates because a federal judge has shut that down. U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams issued a lawsuit that was prompted by environmental groups who say that the Alligator Alcatraz area, this detention center, impacts wildlife and natural resources. It disrupts an environmentally sensitive area, and the order mandates that no detainees beyond those currently housed at the facility can be moved there. Of course, you have lots of leadership within the Trump administration fighting against this mandate, against what this federal judge has ruled. But as of now, Alligator Alcatraz can take no new detainees. Those who are there can remain, but no new detainees can be taken in. When we come back, guess what's back? The plague. I'll tell you where, what to look for, why it's back, and why we are all royally screwed, because it's not going anywhere. On the other side of the break.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Okay.
Let me do something nice. Don't shame me for not doing it. Then I do it.
Oh, no. It's not shave. It's like mild tough love.
Well, the pizza is coming. Okay. You know what else is coming? Or it's already here. The plague. Don't make that face, Mark. The plague is here. And the plague has been here. It never really left, but it's back in a way that is a lot more upsetting because it's much closer to home. There's a California resident. And when they say California resident in these stories, you immediately want them to lead with the where. It's like, just tell me. Don't put in the headline a California resident. Tell me an LA resident or an Orange County resident. Well, in this case, this resident is from South Lake Tahoe, just far enough to give us a little bit of ease, but just close enough, and especially where people love to vacation, to make us all a bit paranoid for what's to come. And in this resident's case, they've tested positive for the plague because apparently it's 1700, 1800, whatever the plague was hot, right? Few details have been made about this resident. Of course, HIPAA laws prevent that. But the El Dorado County Environmental Management Division and Public Health Division, they definitely could have come up with a shorter name for that, said that the patient is currently under the care of a doctor while recovering at home. So the patient has survived, is surviving, and is under medical care. Now, here are some details about this case. It's believed that the person became ill after being bitten by a flea. And when were they bitten? They were bitten while they were camping in the South Lake Tahoe area. Now, when I hear fleas, I immediately think OS, because I have pets, I have dogs, I walk my dogs in the community, and especially when it's hot like it is now, fleas seem to be a lot more plentiful, and you have your precautionary measures you can take. You have your topical this, you have your internal things, and there's a lot of conversation and disagreement about what's best. But there are ways to prevent and treat fleas, but oftentimes fleas are unavoidable if you have dogs, cats, other sorts of animals with fur. And if you walk your animals or take them out into the community, into nature. If you're a person who likes to hike with your dog, or you like to go camping with your dog, both things that I really enjoy doing. Now they're saying that we are all putting ourselves at a very high risk for contracting the plague, or at least for our pets to contract the plague. The plague is caused by a certain bacteria, and that bacteria is mostly transmitted by the bites of fleas that have bacteria from infected squirrels, chipmunks, mice, other wild rodents. And dogs and cats may also bring plague-infected fleas into the home. I know where I work, there's some, not here at the studio, although this may be the case. I don't know, can't say yes or no. But at my other job, my day job, there is a basement area, and there's been a lot of renovation going on the site. And the renovators, these construction workers, unfortunately unearthed, when they were pulling up carpet and doing all this stuff, a flea infestation. Yes. A flea infestation.
That's how the story always starts, isn't it? It's a flea infestation. It's one of the doorways to hell. Something always happens in that situation that you don't like.
The dark, in the bottom of the crevices of what you think is a normally functioning environment. Yes, we will possibly become patient 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 in Los Angeles. Hopefully not. But now that we know that the plague is transmitted by fleas, or we're reminded of that, and that this is becoming a closer to home story than we would like to believe, we're a lot more paranoid about flea infestations. They're already bad if you have them. You know how that is. A flea bite is no fun. And then a bunch of them is even less fun. But knowing now that some of these fleas may be carrying the plague of all things is very upsetting. Now, you can prevent getting the plague by avoiding contact with wild rodents and by keeping pets away from rodent burrows. Good luck with that if you are hiking and you have a dog who likes to explore. Symptoms of the plague will usually show up within 2 weeks of exposure to an infected animal or flea, and those symptoms can include things that look like a normal, really bad cold, a fever, nausea, weakness, swollen lymph nodes. You can treat the plague effectively with antibiotics if you catch these symptoms early. Now, there are different degrees of the plague. The lower degree, very easily treated with over-the-counter antibiotics, I imagine, not just over-the-counter meds, but it can increase in severity. You can get septicemic plague, you can get pneumonic plague, and with those increases come even greater risk. The type of plague that the patient had is unknown at this time, but officials, doctors, medical professionals say, regardless of the type of plague you get, about 90%, I just said it like in the affirmative, the kind that you get, yay for you, 90% of those infected will survive with quick treatment. Operative phrase there, quick treatment. Untreated, the plague is nearly always fatal. And that comes from the Cleveland Clinic. Again, to avoid the plague, they say, this is what really hurt. Don't feed squirrels, chipmunks, or other wild rodents. I literally keep little things on me so I can throw them to squirrels, chipmunks, other wild rodents. They say, should you find a sick, injured, or dead rodent, stay away from it. Don't touch it. Don't let your pets play with it, you sick people. And then also, if you're camping, when you enjoy those camping trips, avoid sleeping or resting near animal burrows or where dead rodents have been spotted. I would hope that you do that anyway. You'll also want to wear DEET bug spray and spray it around your lower extremities, being careful, of course, to make sure that you ward off flea exposure. And if you have to bring your pet into that area, use flea control products. But the plague is back. Yay for us. What a wonderful, it'd be nice to not live in unprecedented times. Some precedented times would surely be great.
Gonna head home and read some Camus tonight.
Just seriously. On the other side of the break, we're going to shift gears and talk about a really sad update that has a lot of implications and presumptions that are horrific. And I'm talking about the story of the missing baby, the missing infant, Emmanuel Haro, whose parents, as of today, were arrested on suspicion of murder charges. I'll give you details in this update and more on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Tiffany Hobbs sitting in for Mo Kelly tonight until 10. We have Mark Ronner here. We have Robin in for the Foosh, who's doing great. We have Maddie in for Tawala. It's a fun crew. We're having a good night. We're rolling along. Some news we've been watching, as you just heard there, updates about the Menendez brothers, with Eric already being denied yesterday, being denied parole. Lyle having his hearing likely right now, because yesterday Eric's denial came in the evening. It came late into the evening, which was strange. But given that, that seems like a formula for what could potentially happen for Lyle, whose hearing is today. As well, former LAFD Chief Kristen Crowley is waging war against the city of LA and Mayor Bass, and many would say rightfully so. She says she was wrongfully terminated and that anything else is practically slander and libel. As well, Alligator Alcatraz can't take any new detainees. A federal judge has shut that down, likely temporarily, as President Trump's administration continues to fight against that ruling. A big story here in the Southland, a really shocking story, a sad story, and in my opinion, another story indicative of a lot of just negligence on the behalf of children and family services. And I do mean that as an indictment, because we've heard too many of these stories in recent years about how families have been deemed unfit, parents have been deemed unfit, and yet the children in their care remain in their care. And it is when we find out that something atrocious, something horrendous has happened to those children that we then see just how negligent the system is. And in this case, we're talking about missing infant, Emmanuel Haro, 7 months old, and his parents, who all this week were claiming that their son was kidnapped and the mom was knocked unconscious and the baby was taken in Ukaipa, and they're on this mission to find their child and reunite with their child, and not too tearful pleas for that. But all of this happened and they were arrested today, both parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, on suspicion of murder. And we have some audio for that.
7-month-old Emmanuel Haro now presumed dead. The boy's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, now under arrest, accused of murder. Sheriff's deputies sealing off the entire property as investigators search for clues as to what really happened to the baby. This all starting when the boy's parents reporting him kidnapped at a Big Five parking lot more than a week ago in Yucaipa. The day after their report, the mother making this tearful plea for her boy to be returned.
Just give him back to me again. Please don't harm my son. Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, please.
But within a day of their interview with Eyewitness News, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying the parents had stopped cooperating with their investigation. Then came news of the father's criminal history, convicted of willful cruelty to a child 2 years ago. Today, members of the community coming to the scene this morning, still in shock about everything that's happened.
Heart-wrenching for everybody. I'm a mother and a grandmother, so it's been emotional. I've been following it since it started, and it's taken a toll on me. I've been having a hard time sleeping at night and just trying to keep up with the updates.
And then when you found out this morning that they were arrested, accused
I
of
was
murder.
shaking. I was shaking.
Goosebumps. All up and down my arms, my legs, goosebumps, because I had a feeling.
This story stinks. Mark, when you, and I'm sure because you are in the news business, you saw the visual representation of these parents. You saw the mom, you saw the dad. What did you think?
I haven't seen the video, but it's generally not a good sign when they stop talking to investigators. I mean, they ghosted him, apparently, froze him out.
Completely froze him out. And people were saying, too, that there were so many inconsistencies in the stories from the mom who was at the forefront. She was in front of the media until she decided to stop talking along with the dad, ghosted him, pushed him out. And those inconsistencies also played out with the feeling. I don't know, but I really feel strongly that if your child is missing, I feel like it would be hard to talk, one, hard to speak, and two, if you were able to speak, if you were compelled to give interviews, that you would be needing to be held up by multiple people. And these parents, for all of what they claim to be going through, the distress, the distraught, they seemed pretty together. And people were saying, where are the pictures? There's one picture floating around, and this picture isn't enough. We need to see more to be able to locate this child. And the parents refused to put up more pictures. Just a heartbreaking update. And law enforcement officials are implying in direct terms that Emmanuel Haro, the 7-month-old baby, is probably deceased at this point.
You don't need to be Columbo to understand what kind of behavior constitutes a major red flag.
Yeah. It's and there were so many from the beginning, and people fancy themselves as amateur sleuths, and to be honest, many people are really good at it. We have a lot of source material to be able to factually make conclusions, and people were on it from day one saying there's something off here, and it took over a week, but there is something off, and now these two parents are under arrest for the suspicion of murdering their 7-month-old baby.
Well, I can tell you as a former Cops Beat reporter, it's usually not nearly as complicated with any twists and turns like you might see on television. Real police work is about as far away from TV and movie police work as you can imagine.
Don't tell me that. I thought it was real.
And it's usually Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is the best, and there are cues in basic human behavior, which you alluded to just a moment ago. Losing your child is about the most traumatic thing a human being can experience, and it's one of the most taboo subjects in our culture. And if people are acting off, that's a red flag.
Enough said. When we come back, we're going to get into our deeper dive segment. We're going to talk about how some parents are using AI toys, robotic toys, artificial intelligence toys, to take their place when it comes to parenting and just general interaction with their children, with their babies, kids as young as 2 and 3. and how parents are really setting these kids up for a lot of what many believe is failure in the very near future. After Deeper Dives, we're going to look at our Thoughts for Food segment. Got to push it back a bit, but we're definitely going to get to it. All of that and more.
You've been listening to Later with Mo Kelly. You can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.